Good evening, everyone. Um, I hope you're joining us all over the world, especially ones in Dubai. It's 9 p.m. here, so let's get started on today's thing. So I'm Lavesh. I'm a student at Middlesex University, Dubai. I also am the lead, lead for this year, especially, and the founding lead. And one thing that we really wanted to talk about today was IoT. And IoT is one of those hot topics right now that we really do have to mind because it's really one of the game-changing technologies right now. And so one other thing that we actually wanted to talk about in IoT is push to park. So this is one project very close to me since we pitched this earlier last year before COVID as a parking solution, and it wasn't something we were really thinking about. It just came as a spontaneous idea for a competition that we had. So let's just get started with the slides. First of all, let I request everyone, to, since we're viewing this on YouTube, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel CDG MENA, and it's from Google. So for more updates and seminars ahead. So first of all, let's talk about IoT. Before we jump right into the solution, what do we know is IoT? IoT is generally a system of interrelated computing devices. Can be from objects to digital machines. That are provided with unique identifiers as such. They also transfer data over a network, and the main objective of the IoT devices are mainly they should be removing interaction between human to human or human to computers. And a lot of things that we um, have in our lives right now are quite IoT connected. Therefore, the ecosystem of IoT is growing every day. And these are not some simple and easy to go programs. Some are very complex, some are very sophisticated. However, the basic aims of technology still goes here, essentially, to connect people. And recently, we've been doing a lot of that, especially in the COVID era. Um, the whole market of IoT is probably increased a lot in demand due to the COVID as well. So the IoT ecosystem as a whole is, a really challenging but very innovative industry out there right now. But then generally, when we think of IoT, is we associate with the term of smart homes. Since we have smart locks, we have smart security cameras, we have thermostats that are smart. You can actually program them to set a specific time, to start cooling before you reach home, especially here in the Middle East where the temperatures really reach up to 50 degrees Celsius every summer. So these are really some key innovations this during this years, where we can actually go outside, come back home easily, and have a AC already, really cooled our room in advance. One other key advantage that IoT really brought is smart lighting in terms of smart home. And essentially, if you, especially people like me who are too lazy, being in the tech field, so we just want to switch off our lights by a mobile, or ask our voice assistant, to really switch off the lights. Then this the smart home, the whole scenario came with the controllers, this mobile phone, this Google Assistant, sync integrating right in. You got a lot of advantages, but also somewhat a little bit of cost on the hardware aspect. But generally, when we do associate IoT, one other image that we associate ourselves is with Google Home or the voice assistant nowadays. These are really some interconnected devices, based on the IoT platform, really help you um, speak out and really instead of clicking, it's rather than just say it in a command. And with the machine learning integrations nowadays, they're pretty advanced as well. I remember I was a kid and the first Google Assistant came out, and it was pretty new, and it didn't really understand what I was saying back then due to my accent. However, it was still something very fascinating to look forward in the future for. Then the whole phase of smart cities came. Smart cities with every interconnected cameras, interconnected lights, all those high tech features right there. And smart cities was a really good initiative, especially with cloud computing. Those really bridge the gap, you know, between technology, especially with also enabling a lot of IoT devices with their computing power. So it would automatically, smart lighting would kind of instead of having a term we use static lights in which there's at 6 o'clock in the night it automatically starts. Rather, we have something dynamic, that can be connected to the internet, report on its sensors, maybe even have a couple of temperature sensors, saying that this area is this much. So it would kind of be on a dynamic platform, which is pretty nice. However, there was a real problem created with smart cities. We did everything we wanted imaginable, but one of the key things that that didn't really catch up to everyone was the fact that okay, we have Tesla cars today which are self-driven. These self-driven cars are pretty advanced in nature essentially with they you just leave your hand and it can drive by yourself, it will stay in your lane, so there's a lot of technology going into this. We even had parking, smart parking, not smart, I can say, quite amazing parking system in multiple cars that automatically park itself, but one thing that we really forgot about all of this is smart parking, you know, in terms of not the parking of the car being practically put in place, as in the car's paid parking not being done. So I remember until this solution that we that we made, we had the whole hassle of actually walking up to either a machine with here in Dubai we have a couple of options which is good, but there was still a lot of inconvenience with it and not simplicity associated with it. And Dubai is still better in terms of infrastructure. However, I visited a few countries such as US, and there was a city in San Diego. There was paid parkings, associated with it, and there used to be a machine associated with each particular car parking, a machine just dedicated to each. I also saw this in a couple of other places. There was one in other cities of California, such as San Francisco, Google's headquarters. Saw this in a couple of European cities too. Especially London was there. There was in Europe. There was in France, places in Germany. So essentially, you get the point. You have to go. Okay, if there are certain things such as you can pay by card somewhere, you can pay by no card here, you can pay by credit card somewhere else, and overall, it's a pretty complicated solution. Here in Dubai, we also have the RTA mobile app, which is a very good innovation done by the RTA here. Um, Essentially it allows you to put the parking in and select your location and select your duration as you can see in the screenshots, and choose how do you want to pay. You can pay by card, you can pay by SMS, depends on how you want to do. But however, all these solutions are pretty lengthy and time consuming. Sometimes the machines crash, sometimes they do not accept cards, sometimes the coin is blocked, somebody tried to tamper with it. That's there. When it comes to mobile, again, there's the SMS parking also there, but then you have to remember the code, and it's a more developer oriented solution rather than a consumer oriented solution. And so for a normal user, it's really not clear at all, and it's pretty long. So if people who stay in Dubai would know, there would be the code of parking, there's followed by the area code, followed by the number of hours, and then it's a complex again. And you do get a reminder with both the app and the SMS. But a lot of times, what happens is, especially with us students, is we forget point where we have to renew it. And we are in class, we're doing some work, and we really miss out the SMS or the reminder. Essentially, enable us to having fines. A lot of people I know, including me, have received a couple of parking fines because there's a certain limit to it. Either you have to go walk to the uh, you have to go walk to the kiosk, or you have to and there's a certain limit on the app into which you can renew your parking. um, so this is a lot of inconvenience caused to especially of the younger generation such as us. We really forget on these things. So this comes to the issues, right? What are the current issues that we're facing? We are facing issues like importing ticket cost. We're facing sorry, this is for the government, my bad. So the ticket has to be, there's the kiosk, you have to buy the kiosk, you have to install the kiosk, you have to maintain the kiosk, then you have to give it solar panels. So the solar panels are very costly. um, Solar panels are pretty much very costly. Then there are, so all these costs really associated, and then maintenance of the cost is very costly as well. So probably every month somebody would have to go clear out the coins, make sure there is enough rolls to print out the ticket for the paid parking, and all of these associated with a lot of taxpayer costs, which can be really cut down with coming with a tech solution. So let's move on to the concept. So a lot of people, generally associate. Why do we need this when we have mobile app? I mean, you can't be that lazy. But there's certain problems associated. So we wanted to come up with a concept that came up with everyday technology. And these might not be really technologies anymore because these have been more than decades now. And we know how easy it is to switch on our light, because there's such a button: switch it on, switch it off, done. It's that simple to switch on the light. And we wanted to integrate some of these technologies coming to our concepts, with the upcoming concepts of IoT. So what we thought, maybe if we bring this, what should our concept really solve? So it should really solve the ticketing problem, of parking. There should be no hassle of remembering the time limit because again, it's a smart device. If it should really do that. And another thing that we have, since we already have apps out there and apps are kind of like the previous generation, so we wanted to move ahead, provide a good solution that didn't require an app in case you forgot your phone, or you're independent, or somebody else is using your car and you want to do it associated with that. You can obviously switch that, but again, we wanted to have a no app needed functionality in that. It should be completely independent and should be standing alone on basis of all of it. How do we solve this? If you're watching us on YouTube, please, give us your thoughts in the meanwhile. But let me give up what I think, would be the perfect solution for this. The main aim here is to, have the switch, as you spoke about. Switch can be placed somewhere in the car, preferably near the dashboard, because it's um, the most nearest to the driver, and it's really in his viewpoint. It's not in a blind spot, it's right in front of him, so he doesn't not forget to actually park the car. Then that should be definitely connected to a server or backend, to rather process the parking, make sure how much ever time is needed, the person has enough balance to make sure he has the parking, because that's the whole aspect of pay parking. So, fix all the nitty gritty stuff on the backend. And since we cannot fit everything in an IoT device, which is rather difficult aspect of today's IoT devices, the technology is not that strong. So we wanted to have a companion app. The app will be will be an add-on to the IoT device. However, it will not the app would not be required to in order to make the IoT device work. So how do we build a solution such as this? You know, there's a couple of things you can do very easily. You know, There is one you can use a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pis are a pretty much very good solution in today's day. Raspberry Pis, however, are a little costly. You can always go to other solutions. There are other microprocessors such as Arduinos. The there's a microprocessor with Wi-Fi on board. It's very developer oriented, but essentially you can get it for 25 dirhams, which is equivalent to almost couple $8, $7 or $8, which is a pretty affordable thing. Then you will need a couple of other components. You would need a breadboard for your initial um, prototype. You can later on convert this definitely, but just to make sure it works, you will also need a couple of jumper wires in order to connect all these components. You would also need a couple of the either a light switch or a push button, whichever is easier. Generally, we do associate push buttons for IoT devices because they're small in terms of nature. But that's if you want a bigger one. If if it's really dark and you want a bigger one, you can use a light switch. A light switch is a per 2 dirhams, almost 50 cents in dollars. So it is pretty cheap. You would need a couple of resistors just to make sure that your board doesn't get shorted due to the whole electricity. There's obviously you would need a couple of safeguards, so the resistor would kind of give you that. You would also need a GPS sensor, right? So our main aim right now is kind of, again, having parking to the most simplistic way, right? And if you have a GPS sensor, you could essentially put your phone, you could use your IoT device, you could also use the GPS of your phone, but in terms of IoT devices, it would capture your location to say, okay, this is where I am. I want to pay for this particular zone. Because here in Dubai, we have a zone based organization structure. So that's what you can do. You can really connect to it, saying that, okay, I'm here, this is my zone, just please book my parking. How do you achieve this? You would achieve this, by connecting each Raspberry Pi or Arduino board or microprocessor kind of has its own GPIO pins. GPIO is basically for input and output. So essentially to signal whether this is off or on. So you can just connect that easily by using the Raspberry Pi's structure of the board to the push buttons that we have out there. The push button can be pretty small, or the light bulb as we spoke, and there's the resistor coming back to the ground wire of the Raspberry Pi. So what our solution would do again? So our solution would kind of, let's just go back a minute. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. So essentially our main aim now, since you get the components, let's just mix them up and let's use what the idea is. There will be a small push button that we make on our dashboard. The moment you switch on the dashboard, the button on the dashboard, a light should say, okay, this is the LED should blink it up, saying this is your parking has been enabled. That information would go to the server, and then your parking should be automated since it's taking in your location and really taking in your balance from your wallet, taking all of that and really making your parking as simple as pushing in a button. In simple words, you use a push button, go, and it does your parking via your location and send via location. That's all. That's how simple a solution is right now. Let's just go back. So we all know. Um, I spoke about this. We connect the GPIO port. So one thing that's not mentioned here is the GPS sensor. You can take in your GPS sensor and really put it out there. How, if you must be wondering, the code is for this, it's pretty hard. So this is the code in Raspberry Pi to simply receive the push button. And where we say printf, you can just send a API command as simple as send. You could send the API command, remove your wallet, remove money from your wallet, pay for your parking, and this is implementable as a single person as you want. The cost of this would again be around only 40 dirhams, maybe somewhat around $10 or $12. So just explaining the basic code here, this is made in Python. Python is very simple for everybody today. So you essentially import the GPIO library. Define what you want when it's the button will be pushed. You want to set it a mode that says, okay, on port 10, I want to receive in and out, and then you would add kind of an event, making sure that it only works on the rising and does not work on every single second there is. Again, if Raspberry Pi is not the only solution, you can do this in Arduino. Arduino uses C programming. C programming is pretty simple. You can just put it as the button where you want to input it, output. This is the input. You just map it with the pin mode. Then you have the loop function, which runs every second. You can say read the input. If it's there, then you show the LED and you send it to the server. So just to show you a quick demo to get what I'm saying, let's play this video. So it would be as simple as a small push button such as this. You switch it on, switch it on. So that's on and that's off. It's as simple. So I'll just play it again. Push a button, your parking's done. Once you reach your car, you switch it off, your parking's finished. So you can essentially pay for the only time you need and rather not for the whole hour system. This can be revolutionary in terms of the pricing. So it's very cheap. You can really pay for the time you need. So some places rather allow for 15-minute or 30-minute intervals around the globe. So rather what you can do is really implement this to make sure that you don't forget your parking, meanwhile limiting your parking to the least. Actually having the least extensions and making sure that you pay less for parking. Let's go back to the next one. This is what our companion app that we thought would look like. It would be an essentially with a map. It can show you where you are. It would figure out your location by your IoT device or your phone if you want. What would happen is essentially the one on the left is with parking enabled. So as soon as you push in the button, we actually had a demo. However, that's not going to be feasible today. Switching on the button would essentially make the screen on the left, it would be green, it would show you your time remaining in case. However, it would be auto renewed at the end because the button is switched on. Once you go out, you switch off your parking. If you have a remaining hour, it will still keep that with you. If not, if it ends, it will just show you the red. It will show you red saying that okay, you don't have a parking. One really good thing that we can do on an extension level with this is come up with other go out in a way that we can actually, as you saw in the previous screenshots with the red, it would turn green and red again. What one thing would happen is it would be a simple calculation if you want to find out how many parking spots are available. So we can do it on a server. We can essentially say this area has, let's say, 1,000 parking spots, and since people are using this app, you can say okay, 500 minus 500, 500 spots are currently empty right now. And this could be a really good future extension. It's not a short-term solution, rather it would be a long-term. However, if you want, you can implement it on your side as a short-term. You can have, another thing, if your country does not support API calls to the server, or they do not have a server, what you can do is, since the SMS option is widely available, you can program your Arduino or Raspberry Pi to send out actually an SMS thing. And what essentially that would do is that would remove the API process regardless of whether your country supports it or not. And it would essentially send us SMS with the code predetermined, so you can just code it in once with one line and send it out whenever you want from your thing, and your parking would be done. So that would give you a real peace of mind parking process. So As you spoke, the future extensions, one is the SMS, one is the parking spaces. Parking spaces will be very easy to calculate because these are all public data, and SMSs are pretty simple as well because you just have to input the code once with the documentation, and that's not, you don't have to do much again. So towards the end of the thing, I can just say two things. Essentially, fill in the feedback form. You can get a 10 certificate on this. That's, you can see the link on the thing. It's bit.ly MENA ADD MENA ADD under dash feedback. There's always the MENA ADD challenges. You can also access that. We have a link there. There's always a chance of you winning gift boxes or goodies, maybe a Google Home Mini as well. So please make sure you do all of these. Um, just take a screenshot of this if you're really unsure. So just keep this for another 10 seconds. Again, this is part of Google. Thanks, shout out for them to really host me today. And I hope you guys really understood what I meant, and not just on a concept level, but maybe hopefully we can, you can implement it yourself. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. Also, you can the source code for the app and the backend, or and the Raspberry Pi codes, also the Arduino, if you want. All of these four variants are listed on my GitHub, so you could probably find this under Push to Park Smart Parking Solution under my GitHub account. So if you want to really implement this, I've done it essentially all for you. There's a code there. The code's based for Android and iOS. It should work on both. And you also have the Arduino code, so you just want to plug and play, maybe change a little two, three lines for your country. Otherwise, all that's fine. Then you have the server backend. If you want to calculate, if you want to find how many parking spaces are there, you can do all that calculation as well. So all of that is just done. You just maybe change your country's location or the API they're using or the SMS, and you're good to go on a parking solution. This can essentially help you a lot. So let me know your feedback on the comments there. And thank you for having me today.